Afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. Hello and how you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right podcast. So we are on episode 231. What do you think of that? Like you care. Like, what are you talking about, buddy? All right. I'm going to get right into it. I'm not even going to give you a title. We'll know what the title is. Well, I'm sure you know what the title is right now. But I don't know what to say as the title. That's the first time. Actually, that's not the first time. I think I've just gone right into it. Anyway, this episode is for entertainment purposes only. I appreciate you coming out to my first time, second time, last time, just another time. Listener, I appreciate you all. Thanks for coming out. So we're going to get right into it. Basically, I'm going to be talking about how do you know? How do you know when you're ready to, commit to a long-term relationship, hopefully a marriage, because just shacking up ain't the way, y'all. It is to make a commitment to your spouse and your spouse to you and, well, your wife, because I'm basically talking to the guys today, but some of the information you'll hear might be able to go both ways, but maybe not all of it. Anyhow, thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming out. And if you are a woman and, you think this might benefit a gentleman in your life or barely know in your life or really know in your life, maybe pass it on to him, please. Okay, so here we go. What is that? Okay, that's weird. Okay, anyhow, sorry. You're lying in your bed. It's 2 a.m. Scrolling through X's Instagram comments or whatever you're on. It hits you. You're not angry. You're lonely. That longing isn't loneliness for her. It's for companionship, for hope, for a story that makes sense, the truth. That's the most dangerous place to start. But if you weren't starved for connection, maybe affection, what if you weren't? What if you weren't starved for connection? You weren't starved for connection or affection? What if your life was already full? Friends, goals, purpose, and the idea of partnership was a gift, not a rescue mission. You're not trying to rescue anybody, and you're not looking to be rescued. That's where the real readiness begins, because a woman can't complete a man. A man cannot complete a woman. I know that it's cool when we hear it in Jerry Maguire, the movie. But listen, she can only complement what you've already built, who you already are. She can stand behind you for sure. She can stand beside you. Yep. But there has to be something in you, more than just something. Real readiness isn't fear of being alone. It's strength in solitude. It's knowing your values, owning your mistakes, understanding what you bring and what you need. It's choosing to build something with someone because you want to, not because you're trying to escape your own reflection. And when the alignment happens, The right woman stops feeling like a rescue plan or a fairy tale. She's a teammate. She's your partner. She's your helpmate. She brings peace, not confusion. Direction and not drama. Now, we all could have baggage, of course. We all have our baggage, right? We all have days that maybe aren't so peaceful in our lives, or things in our past that sometimes does cause confusion, does disrupt the peace. But beneath all of that, there's direction. And even if there's some loose ends of drama lingering here and there, you both have to be in a place to separate yourself from the drama as best you can and not say, oh no, I'm going to keep this drama here. Let me hang on to this old phone number where exes can still stalk your phone. Let me keep this Facebook page open where I had a big, illustrious dating career and anybody can tap back at any time. And you know how these things go. Usually it's when you're in an argument, some old ex tries to fall back and call back into your life. She doesn't interrupt your mission. She sharpens it. And that's when you know. It's not about finding someone to grow old with, although that is a sweet part of it, if you're blessed enough to actually grow old with someone. It's about finding someone you can build with, bleed with, and still laugh with when everything goes sideways. You can still look and laugh and say, at least I got you. Isn't that what we all want? Myth busting. I'll know when I meet her. That's what everybody says, right? Or that's what they say. And who are they? They are them. The people who are saying it. The old story says you'll feel fireworks. Sometimes you get excitement, but not necessarily suitability. Maybe you'll get a little toxicity in there where you're up and you're down and you feel alive because you feel all the enjoyment and you feel all the pain. What men often miss is infatuation swamps rational thought and judgment. But data shows that after the 3-month mark, real compatibility either shows up or the cracks start appearing. That sweet honeymoon fades, and either you click deeper or you don't. Now, you do have people who they call avoidance, and because of past trauma, they're not so easy to let you in certain areas. So that 3-month thing, it's not set in stone. I'm just telling you. But put it this way, there'll be less walls put up. So even for someone who would normally put up a bunch of walls for the average individual that they're maybe seeing or courting or whatever, but you'll be able, together you'll be able to break down walls that are usually put up for everyone. And that's how you'll know you're heading in a right direction. Patterns that show you're ready. Look for these green flags in yourself. Okay. You're content alone. You have hobbies. You have purpose. You have stuff you just enjoy doing, and joy exists without someone else. Many people, I've talked to in my life, have told me, like they weren't even looking when they found their wife or their husband. They were going about their business, doing their life, and focused on the things that they would normally focus on without anybody clogging it up. And the person appeared. You've proceeded past hurt, or you've proceeded past and processed past hurts. No unresolved baggage. Even if you have baggage, it's been resolved and it is what it is. There's nothing dragging you into a new relationship. You're not just rolling into it forced, have no choice. You know your values and what you want in parenting, in finances, in faith in God, ambition, and even love language. Although I think that, as we expand and move deeper into love, I think love is love. And we have ways, yes, we like to, that feels comfortable more than others. But I think one thing is putting yourself in those categories where I need words of affirmation. Otherwise, I don't feel love now. I think you need to take a whole look at that whole love language thing that I can't remember what his name was who came up with that, coined the phrase and wrote his book and everything. But it's deeper than just yours or what's comfortable or what excites you or what's stimulating you the most. I think you need to be able to take physical affection. I think you need to take hugs and kisses, and I think you need to take words of affirmation and everything else that comes along with it. And don't just look for the thing that tickles your fancy the most. You communicate honestly, including boundaries and feelings. And that's a huge one because a lot of the time, especially people who are waiting for a long time to get married, get into a long-term relationship, they are very scared to lay out boundaries to people. And that usually shows your insecurity when you're scared to talk about your true feelings. And the problem is when you blur those boundaries, those boundary lines, and when you hide your feelings, your true feelings, that stuff creeps up later and makes everything worse. So if you had a problem, the problem gets worse because maybe you shout your feelings out at some point. If it's your boundaries and you're like, everything must go, and then you're married, all of a sudden, all those boundaries that you had that you were hiding, they come up all of a sudden. All those walls. I don't like doing that. My mother told me, my dad said, like just be real from the jump. You're better off somebody walks out of your life today. And if that person walks out of your life because of a boundary you have or because of a feeling you have, then they're not the right person for you anyways. So let them go. So you need to be honest with your feelings and honest with your boundaries from the jump. I think if I could say nothing else in this whole podcast, be honest about your boundaries and your feelings. I'm not saying you need to go crying a river. That's not what I'm saying. They don't need to see you at your worst because you're getting into your feelings and it's not that. It's that you need to communicate exactly what is what and not hide things because, she's the prettiest I've ever seen, or she makes me feel this way, or she has a perfect GPA, or she makes this hundreds of thousands a year, or, you know what I mean? Do not hold back. Obviously, there's wisdom, but don't hold back your true feelings. And if you have boundaries, make sure that the person is aware of them. You're consistent, patient, or at least you're working on being consistent. You're working on being patient, but it would be preferred if you are consistent and you are patient. and willing to compromise and grow in conflict. So if there's a conflict, I'm not saying you just, all right, let's just do it your way. No, there must be some way that you can compromise at times. Sometimes you have to know when there is room for compromise, and obviously there's time when there's no room for compromise, depending on what it is. And generally, the only thing is not you can't compromise, and I'm speaking to anybody who is a Christian, is when it's something that goes against what the Bible says. Straight up. Everything else can be compromised. If those are real for you, not ideas, you're ready. Next, why men still struggle even when, why do men still struggle? Even when you tick those boxes, you fight insecurity, you see success in other men's lives and feel incomplete. Social pressure tells you to settle, but that's not complacency. Take a risk. And taking risks feels unsafe, of course. So you delay, find stuff to go and do, you get distracted, or you chicken out. Sometimes it's because you romanticized romance and you've taken it to Hollywood. So you're seeing all kinds of things in your future that may not really be there. You want cinematic moments. You want to kiss somebody who you want to kiss with your eyes open because you don't want to miss anything. But life partner is built in daily decisions. Conflict, support, interruptions. That's where most people fall short. So you have to realize that there will be conflict. There will be times when you need to be able to support her. And there'll be things that will interrupt your plans, your ideas. And you have to be willing to work with those situations. All right. Next. Traits in a woman worth marrying. If you're asking what kind of a woman deserves your commitment, here's somewhat of a framework. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. Okay, number 1. Hopefully you have someone who is intellectually curious. She challenges your assumptions and they're willing to grow with you. 2. And obviously what I'm saying with it, like, you want somebody who's a lifetime learner. You don't want somebody who shuts it off at 18. You know what I mean? Like, or is willing to learn about something new, maybe a new type of music or a new type of sport or a new type of new way of doing things. Like, you want to have somebody who wants to broaden their horizons. You don't want boredom to creep in, right? You want someone, hopefully you are like that too as well. You want to be a lifetime learner. You want to know different things. You're the person who will stop the movie and go and Google the actor because of such and such. You'll want more information. And you can talk about it, and it can be something interesting for both of you to go in and talk about. Number 2, emotional and obviously intellectually curious. That's not exactly what it only means. I'm just giving you an example, obviously. Number 2, emotionally stable. She understands her triggers and she doesn't need to control you. So she knows what bothers her. And hopefully she's willing to tell you these things. And hopefully you're learning her as well to know those triggers. So you're not just tripping them on purpose. And she doesn't need to control you. That's a big one. Because some women only feel right when they're controlling the situation, when they break a guy down. And the funny thing is, if you let her break you down and you go away from who you are because you're being broken down, then what you're doing is you're growing yourself into someone that she doesn't even want. You know, it's kind of weird how, we pick mates and then we slowly try to trip and chip away at them to make them into something that we didn't want in the first place. But we think we do. Independent, has her own passions and sense of purpose in life. Because if it's all attached to you, it's going to be a heck of a burden. It doesn't mean that she's independent and she doesn't need you, but she's independent in the way that she has passion for life and things that she wants to get done and things that she wants to have. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. Not that you don't become one, as the Bible says, but it's that she keeps her passions. If there's something that she was doing or even you're doing before, if it's not something that takes up a whole lot of marital time, then it should be something that continues, unless it's just a different lifestyle. And that's not like something that bodes well with a marriage. I can't really think of what that would be, but if you're in any kind of interesting situations, you probably know what I'm saying. All right. Consistent and reliable. Now, I'm not saying that she has to be a rocket scientist, but if she tells you she's going to do something, she's the kind of person who says she's going to do it and she does it. You know who she is day in and day out. You're not dealing with 7 different personalities because you just won't be able to make it. In reality, unless maybe if you're a psychologist, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Honest. She's honest and genuine. No posturing or manipulation. She's just straight up her. 6. She's empathetic. She listens. She supports. She builds you up. Very important. Even if some of the other stuff's missing, you want someone who is empathetic. You want someone who listens. You want somebody who supports and someone who builds you up to be all that you can be. 7. She's ambitious or purposeful, at least. You move towards goals together, and you can see that in her. 8. She's a respectful partner. She treats you as an equal teammate, but you're her man, so she's able to step back and stand behind you, as well as stand beside you when the time's right, in different situations. But one that's going to treat you as the man, her Lord. And people might look at her Lord. What do you mean? Check out what the Bible says. And it doesn't mean she's worshiping you. So any women listening, it doesn't mean you have to worship your husband, but it's like you hold him to high esteem. That's basically, you want somebody who holds you to high esteem. You do not want someone who is always disrespecting you for their enjoyment to just bust you down. You want someone who says, this is my husband. He's working on being the best he can be. And I'm going to support him. I'm not going to break him down and make him feel less than he should feel. 9. She respects your boundaries. So hopefully you've communicated those boundaries and hopefully she respects them, even if she doesn't agree, because you are 2 different people. You have 2 different brains. But she knows her place and she knows your place. And she knows limits and she honors them. 10. Hopefully she's family oriented or grounded, valuing connection beyond just the 2 of you. She cares about your family. She cares about the connection between you and your family and her family. And not to mention, I'm just putting this one in there. She shouldn't have a desire to be somewhere else other than with you. I know that there's other things happening in your lives and other places to be and things to do, but her safest, most wonderful place on earth should be with you. Not that she's not inquisitive, not that she's not adventurous, but her favorite place, hopefully, has become you to be, wherever that is. If you're both lying in a cardboard box downtown, or if you're in a mansion in the suburbs, her best place should be with you, beside you. And that's a tough one because some people do settle, and sometimes people do hold their feelings back and hide their boundaries. And then when we think all bets are off, nah, they're not. Maturity. She doesn't play games. She's honest. You want someone who's just going to tell you the truth. They're not going to sugarcoat everything because they're not willing to be honest with you because, again, they're worried. People who tend to just be lying in your relationship, they're doing it because, again, they're trying to pigeonhole you into a relationship, coming off as somebody they're not, hoping that they'll never have to come clean, or if they have to come clean, it'll be far after you've committed to them already. And that's not a good place to be. Again, you're just setting yourself up, or she's setting herself up for trouble in the future. Forgiving, able to move forward after mistakes, mishaps, and situations. You know, the biggest thing I think in any relationship, it's not being compatible, it's not being humble, even, although that is coming up next. It's the willingness to forgive. Because again, you're dealing with another individual, another person who has a brain and a heart, who has purpose, who has character, who has attachment styles, maybe has, as they say, the love language. But what's going to end up happening is you're going to get on her nerves. You're going to get on her nerves. She's going to get on your nerves. But you have to be forgiving. You need someone who's forgiving. If they're not forgiving, you're going to have problems because they're going to be having things pent up in their heart. And it's going to cause you problems down in the future, and probably the near future. And if it's something that someone you're with and you're thinking of getting into a relationship with, if they tell you or you see that they're a very unforgiving person, it's something that you need to start working on right away. And it's not just trying to hammer it down her throat, like, no, you must forgive and you must forgive, like every single second. No. Teach, and not necessarily preach, and show by example. And if she loves you, generally she'll come along and adapt some of your better qualities. Just like we adapt each other's bad qualities sometimes, many times. Humble. Not driven by ego, because ego can cost you a lot of money. Ego can get you into trouble. Ego can get you hurt. Ego can get you killed. He moved my chair. Hit him. No, you want someone who's humble and who will obviously play to helping you humble yourself when you need to as well. Hopefully you're, again, 14, sexual compatible. And I mean, I'm not encouraging anybody to have sex out of marriage. So that one you can work on. Trust me. Everything might not be a bed of roses right at the beginning, but it can be if you're willing to work together. So Hopefully they're open to you. That's important. I would say that's one of the first things when it comes to compatibility is just to be open to each other, and obviously only to each other, safe and respectful. 15, kindness to others, especially those who can't benefit her. Yeah, you want someone who is kind to everyone, and just not from those that they can get something, give and get. It's lovely to see someone that you're with or your kids do something for someone that they have no way to pay them back, and watch them do it anyways. It's one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. Loyal, not easily swayed or tempted. You want someone who's going to be loyal to you. 17, shared values, especially on faith, children, and money. If those three aren't there, you're headed for problems. So if any of those that are already kind of waning, like you're a Christian and she's Muslim, or you're a Christian and she's Hindu, you guys have to settle that. And the Bible tells you, basically, it tells you not to be unequal yoke with unbelievers. Why? Just because you're going to be going in two different directions. You're going to be worshiping in two different places, worshiping with two different sets of people. Children, what if she wants 3 and you want 1, or she wants 2 and you want none? Got to be on the same page. Money, you don't want to spendthrift, and then you don't want someone who's obviously going to be too frugal to allow you to buy anything. 18, supportive in public and in private. It's nothing worse than somebody treating you like a king in front of everybody else and then treat you like trash at home. And worse than that is someone who treats you like trash in front of other people and treats you like a king at home. Oh man, I just reminiscing on wonderfulness. Yeah, you don't want someone who pretends that they respect you in front of others, and at home they're treating you like garbage, and you don't want the other one either. You want someone who is supportive both on both ends. Everything is good, both sides. And if there's things you have to work on, there's things you have to work on. 19, good communicator, willing to say hard things with care. It's not what you say. A lot of the time, it's how you say it. So you want someone, again, who's gonna tell you what they need. They're gonna tell you how they feel. They're gonna talk about boundaries with you, and just that communication has to be there. Lastly, and really, really important, can laugh with you. Humor is glue. The Bible says it's marrow to the bone. It's important for the strength of the bone of your relationship to have that humor, to be able to laugh together. Maybe you came home, she made you pick up a 20-pound bag of flour, and as soon as you get to the driveway, the whole thing spills on the floor. You must be able to laugh. You can't ruin your whole day. Even if it was your last cent, even if she was going to make you the best dumplings ever. I remember one time I came home and I was with my ex, and and it was late. It must have been like 1 o'clock. I think it was during COVID or something. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, man, I feel like some chicken wings from Pizza or something like that. And I think we went out and we got it. I think that's all we got, matter of fact. And she got out. She walked up in driveway going up to the house, and I stepped out on a nice patch of ice. Slip, 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 slip. Boom! All the chicken wings on the ground. I just had to scoop them all up. We had a bin right in front of the house. I had to just chuck them all in. It's like, we're even going to go back. We're just like, oh, well, that's how it goes. We just laughed it off and went about our business. Under pressure, she shows herself and she shows who she are when she is stressed. And hopefully that person isn't a horrible, mean person that you can't live with. She shows herself stress, conflict, and grief. You want to see all those things, you know? They break or they reveal character. And you want to see those things. Don't try to be in a plastic relationship where everything is fake. You want to see the realness. Does she hold you during hard conversations? Does she remember things that you did in the past and throw them in your face? When life isn't easy, does she step in and lean in, or does she step away and pull up a wall and pull off? Her composure under pressure often predicts marriage worthiness more than charm does. You want to know how the person deals with rough times. You might even have to simulate. I'm not saying lie, but you gotta know how the person deals under stress. You gotta know what they would do. There was a joke one time. I was with this older couple, and I can't remember what we were down. We were down by the train downtown Toronto, and I think we were probably picking someone up. Oh, we were picking the old couple up. That's what it was. And I put on a joke. I threw on my ski mask, and I went behind the old guy, and I said, "Stick it up, Cracker Jack," just just as a joke. And what what happened was he walked off. It, it was kind of a mean joke, to tell you the truth. I'm not saying never do this. We had a ball, of course, me and my ex, but he the older guy, he walked off and left his wife there. It's like, so that's what you would do if something was going, like, obviously we told it was me, and we stopped the joke fairly quickly. But it was just funny to find out that, hey man, now she knows that if something goes down, you're gonna run off on her, because he was hightailing it out of there, and he wasn't looking back to see where she was at all. He was just getting to safety. But yeah, that was a test. Poor guy. I probably shouldn't have done that, but he was fine. Just laughing. It was funny. Um, Story time. Listen, a composite. Listen, Aaron has his life in order. Job, apartment, hobbies. He dates Maya. Striking and funny. First 3 months are easy. Then he loses his job. Anxiety spikes. Maya listens. She doesn't dismiss, asks what he's feeling, encourages a plan that he helps him make. She doesn't fix him, but she shows up. That crisis reveals deeper structure, shared values, aligned aligned coping, mutual trust. That's when Aaron realizes this woman is a teammate, and she's not just a date. You see, when you know you're going through it and you have someone there who is not, even though she's going to feel it, if you, like, let's say you lose your job, you got to pay a mortgage or whatever the case is, like, she's going to feel it to a certain extent, but it didn't happen to her. Even though it's happening to the both of you in a sense because of the plans you have maybe together, but you want someone who maybe still has their job and can encourage you to make a plan to get a new job or start a business maybe. You don't want somebody who's just going to crumble with you and cry with you, and then also take some of the focus off of you and put it on her and saying, what is she going to do because you lost your job? You know what I mean? You want someone who helps you and helps keep your backbone straight. to do what you need to do. Closing thoughts. You want someone you don't need. I know people have a desire to be needed, and maybe they'll feel like you're disrespecting them if you say that to them, but you don't want someone that you need. A partner who adds to your life, not compensates for what's missing. A woman who makes you feel respected, not managed. Someone who brings you back to yourself when the world tries to tear you apart. A good relationship doesn't save you, it supports you. It won't always be easy, but it should always be clear at least. And if you're ready, really ready, you'll recognize that having everything set and clear and being on one set of pages or on the same page when things get rough, when it shows up wearing sweatpants and asks how your day was, that's a sign. Don't miss it. You want someone who's just chilling, able to be themselves. You don't want someone who's always done up, in other words. Anyhow, y'all, that's about all I'm going to say about this. It's kind of a little bit of off topic, but it's not really. I would say it's still on brand, as they say. But yeah, I guess it was kind of for men and women in a sense. A guy just recognizing traits in a woman that can let him know that she's, about that life with him, and I think a woman could do the same. Anyhow, this has been another episode of You're Probably Right. Take care of yourself. This is MCM signing off. Till next time. Peace out. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere.